Hey guys, welcome back to Jessin Reads Romance. I'm Jessin. Today we're going to be talking about the books I want to read in February. I'm pretty proud of how I did with my January TBR. I didn't read all of the ones that I said I was going to read, but the majority of the ones were crossed off my list and I feel very proud about that. So for February, I'm going to keep it pretty simple, just like I did with January. These are not all of the books that I want to read in February, but I feel like making a small goal is so much better than listing 15 to 20 books and then feeling bad when I don't get to all of them, or I feel like mood reading and my reading choices just take a turn, like a left turn, you know? So I only have a few on this list, but I'm very excited about them. I do have like priority books and then others that definitely I want to read, but there's others that I'll pick up before I pick up those. Anyway, I digress. Let's get right into it. The first book, The Mother of Death and Dawn. Oh my God, I just finished the second book for this series and wow, I absolutely love this series by Carissa Broadbent. I recently also read the first book in one of her newer series, The Serpent in the Wings of Night. I can never get that title right. And I really enjoyed it, but this book to me, the series to me is just a little bit superior. And not to say the new series can't get to that level, I definitely think it can, but I think that this series just had such a phenomenal start to it and I am riveted in every single book. It is so good. So yeah, this book is probably gonna be one of my earlier reads in February because the way that the second book ended was just, I teared up a couple times during the second book, so very emotional reads for me, and I don't want to hype it up too much, but it literally is my favorite fantasy series that I have read in like recent years. I'm talking like 5-10 years, honestly. And it's all thanks to Crystal for picking up the first book because I would have never heard of it without her, and they're just phenomenal. They're amazing characters that I'm absolutely in love with, and the story is so good, so good. Anyway, okay, first book, definitely this one. The next one that I want to read, I don't know. Okay, so we still have a couple of days left in January as I'm filming this, and I do have the ARC for Powerless. I was sent that. But this weekend is the Kindle Unlimited Readathon, and I didn't want to abandon my TBR to jump into Powerless. Even though I know a lot of people are reading it right now, I decided to stick to my guns and stick to my TBR. So I may or may not read this book at the end of January. If I do read it on the 30th or 31st, I might just push it back into February and keep it on that list so that I can talk about it a little bit more during February. But yeah, Powerless, absolutely one of my most anticipated reads for the year. I've said it in multiple videos and it still hasn't changed. She's been sharing a couple of teasers that just kind of like blow me away. So this is a childhood best friend romance. The hero is a hockey player and the heroine, it seems like she's getting married and something happens on her wedding day. I don't know if she's jilted or she does the jilting, I'm not sure, but they end up on like a road trip, I think. It's taking everything in me not to pick it up, but I'm gonna stick to my guns. We're gonna finish this KU readathon strong. Oh, and Powerless does release on the 10th of February, so early on in the month, and I can't wait to have discussions with the whole romance community because I know that a lot of people read this series, and it's just so fun when you have that one series that it seems like everyone has read, and I just love to gush about it with everyone. The next one is also a very anticipated read for I feel like a lot of people in the romance community, and that's The Right Move by Liz Tom Ford. I read Mile High like at the end of last year and it was so freaking good. Thank you, Caitlin, for recommending that one. But The Right Move is going to be a best friend's brother plus forced proximity roommate romance, and it seems like opposites attract because our hero Ryan, he is kind of like a lone wolf as the synopsis states, and he's recently become the captain. He's a basketball player, professional basketball player, and I think that his coach wants his image to be a little bit revamped because he tends to stay out of the spotlight. He really doesn't date around a lot, and in order to change his image, he's going to get a fake girlfriend, and who better to ask than Indy, who is currently living with him anyway, but she is like wild and brash and Ryan is not, and I cannot wait to see these sparks fly with them. I know that Caitlin's already read it and she really loved it. It just makes me even more excited for it. So I absolutely can't wait. This one comes out on the 7th of February, so very soon, and I say I'll pick it up like on the day of release, but I don't know what's going on with school that day and I don't know how busy I'll be, but like good intentions and all that. I also really want to read The Duke Gets Even by Joanna Shupe. This did release in January. and I didn't get to it. It was more towards the end of January anyway, so I was like, I'll just put that on my February TBR. And this series has been hit and miss. It's had some really great ones that I loved so much. The Lady Gets Lucky is one of my favorite historical romances. It just like hit everything, checked all the boxes for me, and I'm hoping that this one will too. And of course, this couple has been very anticipated. Duke of Lockwood, yeah, Lockwood and Nellie. So we know that some things maybe have gone on with them. I'm not quite sure, but I'm just very excited to finally get to their story. And I know that a lot of people have already read this, so I'm curious to see, because I've pretty much avoided most people's ratings and reviews for this one because I just wanted to hopefully read it and love it and not have any outside influence on my reading experience for that. So now this next one I by chance discovered through Goodreads, and it's called Bend Her by Cassie Alexander. Never heard of this author before, and it popped up on my radar, and it said, it got me with the tagline, a dark Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I was like, and it's fantasy as well. I think it was a dark Beauty and the Beast fantasy. Not sure, but I was like, I'm intrigued. Any Beauty and the Beast retelling romance that has the themes of Beauty and the Beast, I am here for. I'm a sucker for that. It also seems like there's a bit of captor-captive element going on here. Our heroine, she is captured by a group of people, not the hero. And it seems like she's offered up as a bribe, an incentive for our hero, who seems pretty popular, and there's like magic and mages and all that, to get him to fight on their side in the war. And when he sees her, he recognizes her from these visions that he got when he ascended. And I think that that is a ceremony where they either get access to their magic or they level up in power. We'll see whenever I read that, but he has seen her in these visions, and I think like she's supposed to be his doom or whatever. So we'll see about this. I'm just very intrigued. This one comes out on February 19th. And for the 12 Friends Challenge for 2023, I picked Next to You by Hannah Bonham Young. This was recommended to me by Caitlin. She's like been killing it with recommendations for me. And I'm very excited about this one because it's a Friends to Lovers. And when I read the synopsis to remind myself before this video, I started laughing because I think I only read the first part, but then the author lists the tropes in here, and it honestly is just better than the synopsis. So I'm just gonna read it to you because it made me smile, and I'm very excited about this book. It says, Next to You is a standalone Friends to Idiots to Lovers romance featuring a tattooed, anxious, chaotic, bisexual lead and a cinnamon roll hero with a heart of gold and filthy mouth, featuring meddling friends, an escapee pet rabbit, an aggressive amount of siblings, and a doomed wedding. Read as these two friends, who are definitely not in love, attempt to keep their sex free from attachments and find their happily ever after grief has put a pause on life. And I'm just like, yeah, I think I'm gonna really love this book. But the heroine, she's kind of going through a midlife crisis. I think all her friends are pretty much pairing up. And I know that this is kind of the second book in a series, but I've been told that you can read it as a standalone just fine. And she's decided to purchase a school bus, and she's gonna renovate it to like live in it. And her friend is the mechanic, has offered to help her with that, and he's super hot, and they kind of fall into a friends with benefits type of thing with no strings attached. That we know how that all works. So anyway, it sounds like my catnip. I'm very excited to read this one. Very, very, very excited. And finally, for my priority list of books that I will like definitely get to for this month, we have Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. Now, I've never read this series before. I've never read the Shadow and Bone series at all. I was consulting Crystal with this as well because I was like, do I need to read Shadow and Bones before I read this series? And she was like, no, you don't. Read Six of Crows. She said it's her favorite anyway, so I'm very excited about this. These books were very popular right when I was moving completely away from YA, and I feel like there's an interesting conversation that I still want to make a video because I recently reread Vampire Academy, which was part of my childhood, and I kind of wanted to make a video about rereading those and comparing it to other YA fantasies that started coming out after that first era of YA fantasy around the time of Twilight and Vampire Academy and City of Bones and all that. I wanted to kind of make a video about that. So maybe coming soon in February. But I'm very excited for this one. Crystal is hyped to talk about this with me. And hopefully after I read Six of Crows, I may go back into the Shadow and Bone series. And then I still haven't read, I was going to watch the Netflix series, but I never got to it. And now that we're having this readathon, I'll link everyone's channels down below who's participating in this readathon, who's co-hosting this. And there's going to be a live show discussing both of these books on the 26th on McKay's channel. I'm very intrigued because I hear nothing but good things about the series. Nothing but good things, so. And now these are other books that I really want to read as well, but I want to read the other ones that I've already listed a little bit more. On the 21st, Things We Hide from the Light, I believe this was called, by Lucy Score is coming out. It's the second book in her Knock 'Em Out series. I really did enjoy Things We Never Got Over. It was quite a long book. This one also looks like it's going to be hefty. I do think that the first book could have been shortened, so we'll see how I feel about the length of this one, but I'm very excited because this is the twin brother of the hero from the first one. I believe they're twins. No. They're not twins. The heroine was a twin. Yeah, brother, just a brother. Nash, he is a cop in the small town of Knock 'Em Out, and I believe that this is a romance between him and his neighbor, Lena. So excited about that one. Also on the 21st is The Counterfeit Scoundrel by Lorraine Heath. And the reason why I did put this like low on my priority list on February's TBR, even though it was part of my 2023 most anticipated reads, is because it's so late in the month. I don't know if I'll get to it. It just depends on how busy I am. So it just might be a March TBR book. So that's why I put it lower on the priority list, because of the later release day. But I'm still like so hyped for this. I love Lorraine Heath's historical romances. She's still killing it. I mean, she's very prolific historical romance writer. And yeah, most of her series I absolutely love. And lastly, this just popped up on me as a recommended to you type of thing and intrigued me. It's The King of Sherwood Forest by Harley Beck. I have never read anything by this author before, but this is a dark Robin Hood retelling. I'm all for like the dark retellings, it seems. Oh my god, I didn't even talk about my Patreon exclusives. Okay, those are actually going to be priority for February as well. I'll get to those in a second. But yeah, so this one, first of all, the cover looked really cool. Second of all, I have never read a Robin Hood retelling, so I'm very excited for this one. And I don't know, why is it so intriguing when I see that someone is doing a dark retelling of a fairy tale or beloved characters from my childhood? Like, why? Why do I like that? I have no idea. It's just a toxic trait of mine, I guess. Okay, so the true last books on my list, but certainly not least, are the Patreon exclusive books that I will be doing a vlog for during the month of February. So my patrons, they submitted some books that they wanted me to read for February. I put them all on a spinner wheel, and these two books won. The first one I've never heard of before. It's The Second Star to the Left by Megan Van Dyke, and it's a Captain Hook and Tinkerbell retelling. And I'm just like, yeah, absolutely love it. I can totally see Hook and Tinkerbell being together, and I have not read the synopsis for this yet. I do believe someone says that Tinkerbell was like exiled or something, and I'm assuming she must be normal size, like not like tiny pixie fairy. I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work, but we'll see about it. And then also The Words by Ashley Jade. Now this book, I did say toward the end of 2022 that it's one of the books that I probably would never read. And I need to start saying probably will never read, because I end up by reading a lot of the books that I say I'll never read, either because I specifically request you guys to recommend me a book that I've said I wouldn't read and then make me read it, hopefully make me eat my words. But this was also recommended just from patrons, and it ended up by winning on the spinner wheel. So I am intrigued enough. I know it's a rock star romance. I know that there's going to be a little bit of angst, and maybe it's something that I will absolutely love and I would have missed out on otherwise if someone hadn't forced me to read it. So maybe this will be a good thing. I'm choosing to be optimistic, but I'm also kind of setting the bar low at the same time, because I don't want to get my hopes up and then I get let down, but I also just want to be like open to liking it. You know, I don't want to go in being like, this book is not going to be for me. I don't want to have that attitude. So yeah, those are the last books of February. Hopefully I will still have a chance during this month to read quite a bit of books. I was able to read quite a bit in January, mostly because I binged a lot during like the first 2 weeks of January before school really got into swing. But I still have had some free time to incorporate books in my everyday, unlike last semester, which has been really great. Well, I hope that that kind of continues throughout this last semester. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to the month of February. I think it's going to be one of the best of the year. Honestly, there's just too many good books coming out right now. So let me know if there's any books that you're excited about in February. Drop them down in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe to get notified on any future videos that I do. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, life's better with a little HEA. Bye guys.